All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Strength Classroom. Today, I'm going to talk about, this was actually a subscriber request. If you want your videos talked about, just simply write them in the comments. That's all I ask. Helps me not have to brainstorm with ideas. It just helps me bang out these videos quicker, which I'm sure you guys are all a fan of, me banging out. So, this question was from a subscriber, like I said, weighted dips. What are my thoughts on using them as a main or a primary assistance exercise, like what you would do right after your first exercise? And my thoughts on this are that they're great, okay? Bodyweight exercises don't have to be treated super light. They can be loaded up with weight, and there are definitely ways that they can be done safe, just like any other exercise that you would do heavy. So they also asked, can it be done as a max effort exercise? I would say most people, like a very high percentage of people, should not be treating this as a max effort exercise. Reason being, your form has to stay super tight in order to be able to grind through reps. And I don't think most people have the structural integrity, body awareness, etc., in order to be able to do this for max effort. That's just my opinion. Okay? And key words there being a true max effort, meaning it's like you're done. It's your maximum effort. You can't add another pound to the bar. Can you do them for heavy efforts? Yes. So you can do a heavy single with more room for weight to grow and just call it from there, just to like kind of potentiate your nervous system and all that. Yeah, that's fine. But don't try to be breaking PRs every week on a weighted dip. That's just my advice. If someone in the comments comes and says, hey, I do weighted dips all the time and I go till failure, good for you. This is just general advice for most people. There's always going to be outliers. So doing a 1 rep max on this, probably not the wisest thing in the world. Can they be done for sets of 3 to 5? Yes, and I would say that's a much, much better approach. Cluster dips are a good idea if you want to get close to failure without doing super high intensity, so the weight can be a little bit lower, but the grinding aspect is still going to be there, so you can learn how to grind through. And that's a good way that if you do want to be a pain in the ass and ignore my advice to move on to doing 1 rep max dips, learning how to grind is a skill. When the weight starts moving slowly, still trying to remember your cues and push through, that is a skill. That's why Louis Simmons developed the max effort method for powerlifters, because in powerlifting, that is a skill. On your 3rd attempt, when there's nothing else left after in this exercise, event, lift, that's a skill, learning how to grind through. So you can learn how to grind through with lighter weight at first, so that it preps you for the heavy weight in the future. So what I suggest, you should be able to at least bang out 10 fairly easy reps on just normal body weight dips before you add any weight, really. And I hate it when people say things like that, but your body weight is your body weight. So before you add weight, you should at least be somewhat comfortable with the exercise. If you can't do a body weight squat, there's no point putting a barbell on your back. You should at least be proficient with a body weight squat or even a goblet squat, you know what I mean? So a big problem I see that people have with dips is they start treating them like a power lift, and they just think if you're moving the weight from point A to B, you're getting enough out of the exercise, as opposed to completing the reps using the proper muscles and the proper cues in order to strengthen your pushing muscles and actually get better at the exercise and spur some strength and hypertrophy in the pushing muscles, like I said. So some cues I have here is to always make sure you keep your shoulders away from your ears. So it's almost like the back and down approach when it comes to a bench press. So as you're going down, you want to row you want to almost think you're doing a reverse barbell row on the way down. Don't just let gravity take you downwards. Be very intent with what you're doing. Have intent on your negative exercise, on the negative portion of the exercise. And then as you come up, you just simply reverse that. You want to also keep your core tight. I don't like it when people like let their feet fly backwards and it's almost like you're doing a push-up on the dip handles. I like when your feet are slightly forward and you're focusing on bringing your knees forward the whole time. That means you have less swinging of your body, more core activation, and just more control over your body, which is always the goal of calisthenic exercises, to be control of your whole body from head to toe. I would say paused reps are good for beginners because it teaches you how to initiate out of the hole. And a big problem I see some people do, and I even sometimes do it myself near the end of the set, as you're coming up, you just stare at the ceiling and whip your head up to get some form of momentum. That's good for your ego, but it's not so much good for strength because it does kind of throw off your cues. Now, this also, when you're going down slowly with paused reps, it allows you to not dive bomb the exercise and overstretch your mobility, because you will need good shoulder mobility to do deep dips. You don't want to just force yourself into these positions. You want to build up the mobility so that you do not get injured when you enter these positions. That holds true for almost any exercise. Like I said before, the eccentric should be controlled and the concentric should be explosive. So it doesn't have to be explosive to the point where you're like flying off the dip handles and the rack is shaking everywhere, but you should not be like emphasizing the speed of the concentric. You should just be trying to move the weight, and that's that. Using the correct muscles, of course. Make sure you're getting a nice squeeze in there. So let's just go over the cues one more time. So in conclusion, don't do these for a 1 rep max. Do them more so for a 3 to 5 rep max. Do heavy efforts as opposed to max efforts. Cluster dips are a good idea to get used to grinding on this exercise when you don't have many more reps left in you. Don't treat this exercise like a power lift. Don't move the weight from point A to point B. Be intentional with what you're doing. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Try out some paused reps just so you can get comfortable at the bottom of the range of motion. Barbell row on the way down. Press on the way up, and try and be somewhat controlled on the way down and explosive on the way up. That's my opinion on doing heavy weighted dips and how you could prep yourself for them, and all the different cues that I use with myself and my clients when programming this exercise. I hope this helped the gentleman who asked me about this. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a great, great day.